What happens when a former royal walks into CNN thinking she owns the place? In just 25 seconds, Meghan Markle went from composed duchess to complete meltdown on live television. This is the exclusive breakdown of last night's shocking showdown that left viewers speechless and Anderson Cooper doing something no one expected. The studio lights were hot, but nothing compared to the fire that was about to ignite on CNN's primetime stage. Anderson Cooper sat across from Meghan Markle, his silver hair perfectly styled, his expression calm and professional. The interview was supposed to be a softball conversation about her latest charity work, but Cooper had other plans. "Meghan, thank you for joining us tonight," Cooper began, his voice smooth as always. "I want to start with something that's been bothering a lot of people." Meghan shifted in her chair, that practiced smile still plastered on her face. "Of course, Anderson. I'm here to set the record straight." Cooper leaned forward slightly, his piercing blue eyes never leaving hers. "Your recent statements about privacy seem contradictory when you're constantly in the media. Can you explain that?" The smile on Meghan's face flickered for just a moment. "I think there's a difference between choosing when to speak and being hounded by the press, don't you think?" "But you've done 17 magazine covers this year alone," Cooper replied, pulling out a stack of magazines. "Vogue, Elle, Harper's Bazaar. That doesn't exactly scream privacy to me." Meghan's jaw tightened. "Those were carefully chosen opportunities to discuss important causes." "Important causes," Cooper repeated, nodding slowly. "Like your $40,000 baby shower in New York? Was that for charity too?" The studio fell silent. Even the camera operators seemed to hold their breath. Meghan's composure cracked just a little more. "That's completely unfair," she snapped. "My friends threw that shower. I didn't choose the cost." Cooper wasn't backing down. "But you did choose to attend. You could have said it was too extravagant while people are struggling." "I don't appreciate your tone," Meghan said, her voice rising slightly. "You're twisting everything I say. I'm simply asking questions that viewers want answered," Cooper replied calmly. "Isn't that what journalism is about?" Meghan straightened in her chair, her royal training kicking in. "I came here for a respectful conversation, not an interrogation. And I'm giving you the platform to explain yourself," Cooper shot back. "Unless you'd prefer I just nod along while you avoid the tough questions?" The tension in the studio was thick enough to cut with a knife. Meghan's media training was starting to fail her as Cooper continued his relentless but professional questioning. "Let's talk about your Netflix deal," Cooper continued. $90 million while you complain about financial struggles. How do you reconcile that?" Meghan's face flushed red. "We never said we were struggling financially. That's a complete mischaracterization. Your husband literally said you were cut off from royal funding and had to rely on Diana's inheritance," Cooper countered, his voice steady as stone. "That's different," Meghan stammered. "That was about security costs." "Security costs that the British taxpayers were covering before you left?" Cooper asked, raising an eyebrow. Meghan was visibly flustered now, her hands gesturing wildly. "You don't understand the full picture, Anderson." "Then help me understand," Cooper said, leaning back in his chair. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you wanted royal titles without royal responsibilities." The words hit like a sledgehammer. Meghan's face went from flushed to pale in seconds. "How dare you!" she whispered, her voice shaking with rage. Cooper didn't flinch at her fury. If anything, he seemed more determined to press forward. "I'm simply stating what millions of people are thinking, Meghan. You can't have it both ways." "You have no idea what we've been through," Meghan shot back, her voice climbing higher. "The racism, the attacks, the complete lack of support from the institution. And those are serious issues that deserve discussion," Cooper acknowledged. "But that doesn't excuse inconsistent behavior or explain why you're now profiting from the very title you claim caused you so much pain." Meghan stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the studio floor. "I don't have to sit here and take this from you." "Actually, you do," Cooper said calmly, gesturing to her chair. "You agreed to this interview. You can't just walk away when the questions get uncomfortable." "Uncomfortable?" Meghan laughed, but there was no humor in it. "This is character assassination disguised as journalism." Cooper's expression remained unchanged. "This is accountability journalism. Something you seem unfamiliar with." The studio crew exchanged nervous glances. This was spiraling out of control fast, but Cooper showed no signs of backing down. "You sit there in your privileged position," Meghan continued, her voice shaking with anger, "judging me for trying to build a life for my family. A life worth hundreds of millions while playing the victim card," Cooper replied without missing a beat. "The math doesn't add up, Meghan." "The math?" she screamed, completely losing her composure. "You want to talk about math? Let's talk about how much money CNN makes exploiting people's pain for ratings." Cooper leaned forward, his voice deadly calm. We're not the ones selling our family drama to the highest bidder. That was the final straw. Meghan's face contorted with rage as she pointed a trembling finger at Cooper. You sanctimonious, arrogant piece of garbage. How dare you sit there and judge me? The studio fell into stunned silence. Even Cooper looked momentarily surprised by the venom in her words. I think we need to take a break, Cooper said, reaching for his earpiece. No, Meghan snarled, we're done. This interview is over. You can take your gotcha questions and shove them. She ripped off her microphone and threw it on the floor, the feedback screeching through the studio speakers. The sound technicians scrambled to cut the audio. Meghan, please. Cooper tried one last time, his professional demeanor intact despite the chaos. Let's finish this conversation like adults. Adults? She spun around, her hair whipping across her face. You call ambushing someone on live television adult behavior? You're nothing but a ratings-hungry vulture. Security guards appeared at the edge of the set, uncertain whether to intervene. Cooper held up a hand to keep them back. Nobody ambushed you, Cooper said firmly. These are legitimate questions that any journalist would ask. Legitimate? Meghan's voice cracked with hysteria. You've been gunning for me from the moment I sat down. This whole thing was a setup. The only setup here is the one you created for yourself with contradictory statements and hypocritical behavior, Cooper replied, his patience finally starting to wear thin. Meghan grabbed her purse and headed for the studio exit, but she wasn't done yet. She turned back one final time, her face twisted with fury. You know what, Anderson? You're just another bitter old man who can't stand seeing a strong woman succeed. This network is pathetic, and so are you. With that, she stormed off the set, leaving Cooper sitting alone under the hot studio lights. He turned to face the camera directly, his composure returning as if nothing had happened. Well, he said, straightening his tie, I think that tells you everything you need to know. The red recording light finally went dark, ending one of the most explosive interviews in CNN's history. Cooper remained seated, shaking his head slightly as the studio crew began cleaning up the wreckage of Meghan's meltdown. Did we get all of that? Cooper asked the director. Every single second, came the reply. Cooper nodded grimly. Then I guess we have our story.